The Walther WMP, that is in Winchester Magnum Pistol, or Walther Magnum Pistol. We're going to take it out of the box and have a good look at it. Stick around. I want to welcome you to Rider's Range while we take a look at the Walther WMP, Walther Magnum Pistol. This is going to be the second time out of the box. The first time was to look at it when I picked it up to make sure the serial numbers matched and all that kind of stuff. It does have a manual with it, of course. We're going to get to the gun in just a quick second. We'll look at what else is in the bag here. There is a package with 2 optics plates and an additional rear sight. It looks like also some screws in there. And again, we'll talk about the optics plates in just a minute. This is an optics ready pistol. One 15-round magazine that does have the nice pull-down tabs that you find on a lot of 22 mags. This is all polymer, however, it does appear to have a metal sleeve in it, which is nice for the feed lips, ammo alignment, and all of that. And then, of course, we have the gun itself. It's actually going to be this is a full-size gun, there's no doubt about it. It does have a type of chamber flag in it. So let's pop this magazine out. By the way, magazines, you can pop this magazine out 4 different ways, which is really interesting. There's a button on the left side for people who like buttons on the left side. There is a button on the right side. You don't have to worry about changing these buttons. Although, let's see, it does not. There we go. Got to press that in a long way on the button on the right hand side. It'll probably come with breaking in. While I'm on the right hand side, it also has a paddle that you can push down. I do like paddle mag releases. And it has a paddle on the left side. And as you can see on the bottom, those paddles are independent instead of just one paddle. So 4 different ways to drop that 15-round polymer magazine out of the gun. Now that we got that out, let's get the chamber flag out. Not much of a chamber flag, but okay. And barrel does not appear to be a bull barrel. There are vents in the top of the gun, but those are, you can see through them. Those do not have any correlation to anything at all on the barrel, so this is not a ported gun of any kind. Good hefty slide. Cocking serrations in the front. And you can see it does say Walther in the front, WMP on the side. Good aggressive cocking serrations in the rear. Flip it over to the right hand side, same thing. And just serial numbers on the right hand side. Go to the top, we have a black serrated rear sight. And as I understand it, the sight that comes in the package here is just a slightly different height sight. So you can change your elevation by switching the rear sights. Of course, you can change windage by drifting the rear sight. It does have a red fiber optic front sight. These are not suppressor height sights, so it'll be interesting to see when I take this optics plate off and put an optic on it, if I decide to go that route. And I probably will just for the heck of it, but it'll be interesting to see if I can get one that's going to mount low enough to co-witness. I'm not sure that will happen. Slide is kind of a Walther type of profile. Left side, just 2 different controls on it. One is the slide stop lever, and of course the other is the takedown lever. Does not have any kind of an interchangeable grip handle or back strap, so it's a one-size-fits-all, kind of like government policies, one-size-fits-all, which means it hardly fits any. Although this does feel good in my hand. It does have striations on the front of the trigger guard for those very, very rare people who can actually shoot well with their finger on front of the trigger guard. I know that Jerry Mikulik does, Lena Mikulik does it with 2 fingers. Most people I've seen put a finger on the front, and inter-limb interaction means they're pulling the gun one way or the other. So not a big fan of that, but it is there. So no grip texture where the thumb is going to go, or the inside of the index finger, or the opposite way if you're left-handed. But it does have texture up here on the frame as a good index point for the index finger. And when I grip this right, I can just about get my thumb. I have medium-sized hands. I can just about get my thumb on the texture here on the front. So I would probably normally index right around the takedown lever. The grip texture does wrap all the way around, and it feels good in the hand. Don't even need the the full-size magazine on here to get a good grip with all the fingers. Oh, the slide stop lever is also ambidextrous on this. And this gun is a little different from many others in that it is hammer fired. You can just see the hammer starting to stick out there. When the hammer's cocked, it's relatively easy to rack the slide on this. And this is not a locked breech gun. It is a straight blowback, which is typical of 22s. This is the first 22 Magnum pistol I've had. We'll see how it works out. All right, so the question is, how does this... Ooh, actually, that feels pretty nice. Now, I know people are going to say, wait, it's a rimfire. You shouldn't dry fire a rimfire. Although I did take a quick sneak at the owner's manual, and it talks about decocking the hammer. And it says, after you make sure that the magazine is out, the chamber's empty, pistol pointed in a safe direction, no round or in the barrel of the chamber, and allow the slide to move forward, and then squeeze the trigger to decock the firearm. Says that right there. So apparently that is safe to do. I want to do a quick weight of this trigger. It actually feels like it's probably going to be in the 4 to 5 pound neighborhood. It does have a drop safety on the front of it, which is typical of polymer frame guns these days, but it actually feels pretty good. There's no grit at all, and there's no, well, I guess you'd call it a wall right there, but that's, you still have to pull through that. And it is good solid. There's no over travel, and it does release just past the what would, I guess you would call the wall. You can see the hammer is sticking up just a little bit as I release the trigger. That's almost like the LEM trigger on an H&K. Not quite, but almost. Good feel, though. I'm going to see how it works out. Let's dig out the trigger gauge and see how much that trigger actually does pull at. All right, so I dig out the Wheeler electronic gauge, and by the way, it has been calibrated. So, again, double check to make sure it's empty, and the slide does work nice and easy. I do like that. All right. Get right on the tab on the bottom of the trigger. It's a pivoting trigger, so it's going to depend on where your finger is or the gauge is on the trigger. All right, that came out 4 pounds, 12.4 ounces. And, wrong button. So let's try that again. See if I can get a 5-pull average out of it real quick. I guess I was wrong in the feel of my trigger finger. That's more like 3 pounds, 4.4 ounces. And again, some of the inconsistency is just where the gauge is put on the trigger, since it is a pivoting trigger. The closer to the fulcrum point, the tougher it's going to be. The farther from the fulcrum point, the easier it's going to be. So there's 5 pulls, 2 pounds. You can see it there, 2 pounds, 15.3 ounces with 5 pulls of the trigger. All right, do like the feel of that trigger. All right, so now let's see how much this gun weighs. All right, empty firearm, no mag, nothing, 23.5 ounces. Add a magazine to it. Come out with 27.2. And let's put 15 rounds of ammunition on there. I can get them all to stay without sliding all over the place. And of course I can't do that. This is 40 grain ammunition. So with 15, actually it'll do a 15 plus 1. So I'll make it 16 rounds of 40 grain ammunition, come out with 29.6 ounces. Still a relatively light gun. We're going to see how well it shoots, but not during this particular video. All right, let me clear all this out and we'll talk a little bit more about ammunition in particular. Walther says in their owner's manual to use only ammunition specifically recommended by Walther for your firearm. Never mix ammunition and so forth, although we may end up doing that. Took a little digging, but I did find a list of approved ammunition, and I'll actually move that slide of that in here so that you can get some idea what it is supposed to work well in this gun. Ammunition good to go list, ammunition no go list. The ammo I just put in there, Aguila 40 grain Win Mag, according to this, is not recommended in any of their SKUs. Do not use. Well, I'm going to have to try it. I do have a couple of different CCIs in there. I got, I think, a half a dozen rounds of Arms Core, which isn't even listed on here. We're going to see how some of that works out. 22 Plankster did a video on this gun here not too long ago. He claims that he ran more than 800 rounds of ammunition through it with only one failure, using a whole bunch of different ammunition from 30 grains on up. I don't have the ammunition supply that 22 Plankster has, so we're only going to run the 4 types that I have, which, by the way, is not cheap. This, there's no price on this one, but the cost of 22 Magnum ammunition is about the same as 9mm ammunition. It's getting a little on the pricey side. In fact, I saw some that was priced at like $27 for a box of 50. It's getting pretty expensive for rimfire ammunition. Anyway, we're going to have to take it out, see how it works. Meanwhile, everything I like about it, taking it out of the box and just getting a feel of it, is nice, and I'm just going to have to see how it works. Stay tuned for that video. Meanwhile, thanks for dropping in to Riders Range.